Good evening, board members and staff, and welcome to our guests. It's 5:30 p.m. Tonight is September 22nd, 2025, and this meeting of Fort Smith Public Schools Board of Education is called to order. We have 7 board members present. There she is. And we have a quorum. Fort Smith Public School board meetings are open to the public. However, audience members are not permitted to speak or interrupt the meeting in any way. Anyone choosing to disrupt the meeting will be asked to leave immediately. Next item on the agenda is our district mission and vision statement. First up, our mission statement. Equip all students with the skills to be productive members of society. And our vision statement. We are a destination district built on relationships, collaboration, and a culture of excellence. At this time, please stand with me for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, the next item on our agenda is recognitions. Dr. Bone, please introduce our recognitions for tonight, and Mr. Harding will be joining us.
Let's give the Cook Elementary team a hand. Next, we have Howard Elementary, who has also achieved Level 2 certification for high reliability schools. Let's give them another round of applause. This concludes our recognitions for the afternoon.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bone. We will now open the meeting for public comment. This is a designated time for community members to address the board on matters before us. We have one speaker signed up for tonight. That is Joe Elskin. Ms. Elskin will be given 3 minutes to speak. We welcome your input and encourage you to speak respectfully and professionally, avoiding statements about specific students or district members, as the board only takes action regarding such matters based on a recommendation from the superintendent. If the boundaries are not observed, the board president will request that the speaker stay within the legal and district guidelines. Should the speaker continue in violation, after such request, the board president will end the speaker's time and move on to the next individual. Board members will listen to the citizen's presentation but will not enter into dialogue with the presenter or respond at the time to the presentation. The board may choose to discuss the issue presented at a later meeting, but is under no obligation to do so. The board will now hear from those who wish to make public comments. And our speaker tonight is Ms. Joe Elskin.
Hi, I'm Joe Elskin. I'm a retired teacher of 44 years. I just wanted to ask you to reconsider or consider not spending over $38,000 on advertisements with the local news. I feel like it's their obligation, and all you have to do is feed them the information. We need to let our public know the good things, but I feel the news station should do this free. And I think that $38,000 plus could be spent somewhere else. So maybe with just your promptings, they would have a moment for academics along with their moment for sports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Elskin. I believe she talked for less time than my disclaimer took. All right. And we will move on to our next agenda item, which is the superintendent's report. Mr. Mahan.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Just want to start by doing something I don't think we're very intentional about on most days, but I think we want to establish a culture of an intentional recognition for people that do great work. And so one of my initiatives this year has been to do something just as small as a little token of appreciation, and that goes for you all as well. Y'all spend countless hours leading this district, and you spend your time devoting it to the success of our staff and our students. And so I gave you a little challenge coin, superintendent challenge coin. It says great work, just to be intentional about saying thank you for what you do every day for our kids and staff. So appreciate that. You'll find that on the right side of your desk there. So thank you very much. I also want to talk about a few things, update you around enrollment data. Before we get to the pictures, I'll talk about some enrollment data. We are down 432 students, K-12. As you know, this is the third year of LEARNS, and I'm certainly not in opposition to anything LEARNS has lined out, but the third year is when everyone has access to vouchers for private schools and home schools and things of that nature. So the third year is where it's fully implemented. So as a result of that and some other things, we're down 462 students, and I believe those choices parents are making allow us to compete and be better, and that's what we will continue to do. But I also want to let you know the impact overall for us will be about $4.5 million deficit next year. We'll have 2 years to recover that. And we're also going to compete to get those students back to our district. But at the same time, as we mentioned, the federal funds that were withheld earlier in the year, that was $1.5 million that's been removed for our budget this year. So about $6 million cut in budget over the next couple of years that we will begin as a district to look at how to address those loss in funds through attrition of staff and other things. But just want to bring that to your attention and let you know we'll be working alongside you all to present things to remedy that. October work session coming up very quickly. Just want to let you know we're going to meet in Building G and let the public know. It's a public meeting. It'll be a work session. I really want to focus on construction and procurement. And as we mentioned in that last board meeting, provide you with a layout plan of elementary playgrounds, kind of what the footprint of those playgrounds will look like. I also have a representative from the playground company here to maybe answer questions more specific to the equipment in the work session. Also go over procurement as it regards to supplies through procurement, and also how we bid construction projects, kind of go through that and make sure that we keep you updated on those processes. And really want you to kind of tour the facility there and look at our warehouse and do some Q&A around what you see, and maybe you have questions about how does this work or how does that work. Also in that meeting, we'll discuss Bell Point and Tressie, those facilities right size, and some options around the sale of those properties, is also the law around first right of refusal to our charter schools and other partners in education. And the last part we'll talk about is really maybe a move to implement a life cycle around our HVAC systems programming needs. The internet event in July has allowed us to see that our programming of our HVACs is on 3 different systems, and over time maybe updating those that they're on one system and a lot more efficient. Also this week, Friday, the Department of Ed released the letter grades. I'm very proud of some of the results you saw. 12 of our schools increased their letter grades. You also know that this is a brand new formula of calculation that really stresses which we should be stressing in education, and that's growth in our student population from beginning to the end of that school year. So the measurement has completely changed, the grades are changed, and because of that, the Department of Ed has given us a hold harmless year. If a school letter grade dropped because of the way they calculate the letter grade changed, they can appeal, or we can appeal as a district to hold harmless and give them another year before this letter grade takes effect. We'll always communicate 23 grades. We'll communicate the grades that were released Friday, and we will communicate the appeal grades all in the same document when we show our letter grades so that everyone sees the progress. Fort Smith Wellness, this is something for you all to think about over the course of the meeting, but I need one of you to volunteer to serve on the Fort Smith Wellness in accordance to federal law. All schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program or other federal child nutrition programs are required to establish a local wellness committee. That committee would consist of administrator, food service employee, teacher, organization member, parents, students, professional groups, community members, and one of you all. Some examples are to assist with the implementation of nutrition and physical activity standards and provide recommendations around the operation of our child nutrition menus and other aspects. Ms. George Grace, our Director of Child Nutrition, is leading the committee, and the meetings are October 9th, December 4th, February 6th, April 10th, and they're all 3:45 to 4:45. So be thinking, and I'll revisit it during the last part of the board forum and maybe get one of you all to volunteer to serve in that capacity. Cyber update, just again, try to update you each month. We were very close to sending out the letter to current employees and past employees of notifications of their data might have been looked at. We can't prove if it was downloaded or breached, but it may have been looked at, and we will offer them the identity theft protection beginning the first part of October for a full year. So I want to just continue to keep that in front of you. And then consent agenda, I'd just like to draw things to your attention. It's always a vast part of our agenda, but just you might want to pay attention to ethics disclosures. I believe there are 3 assistant principal disclosures there. Just want to draw your attention to that. Also, there's some sale of technology equipment. Just kind of draw your attention to that on consent agenda. And then part of the consent agenda, you would be approving me as the superintendent to act as the ex officio authorized member of the school board to submit grants and financial documents to DESE. It's a traditional thing we do each year, but please pay attention to that. If you have additional questions, certainly pull any items that you'd like to have additional questions. Now, the good things, a very exciting time when we get to celebrate Grandparents' Day. That's because I'm a grandparent, but elementary schools across the district celebrated Grandparents' Day this month with parades, meals, and special events. And we love welcoming our grandparents to honor the important role that they play in our students' lives. You see some great photos of that event, and it's always a really neat event each year. Also at Beard Elementary, 3rd through 5th graders created animated stories in the library using stop motion. The creativity shined through some amazing projects, and we may or may not have a photo of that particular event. Special shout out to Hudson and Gabriel as our special shout out to Hudson and Gabriel and Jose of Darby Middle School. During after-school pickup, they stepped up to help Officer Cox without hesitation. We're proud of their teamwork and their initiative there. You can see they're pushing the car, and the previous photo was of the event at Beard Elementary. So they're helping Officer Cox there. At Kimmons Middle School, the child nutrition team, this is kind of a neat thing. Just draw your attention to, they're writing encouraging notes on our lunches that our kids are taking. And they do that every day and give each kid a special note just to, again, be very intentional about our culture of recognizing our students and our staff in a very positive way. We're very proud of that learning environment they're building there. And then last week, we had the first Superintendent Student Advisory Council meeting of the year. And this council brings together students from across both high schools, 9 through 12. And what I'd like to do is share ideas with them and get their feedback because they are the result of what decisions are made here. So I ran some things that I'll run through community advisories, and I ran through them first around school safety, a possible solution that would help, again, enhance school safety, and also even ran the video by. I got some real good, interesting feedback on our video that you'll see a small segment of tonight. And then 3 Fort Smith Public School students have been named National Merit Semifinalists at Southside. Those students are Schuler Hanahan, Justin Hahn, and Hugh Lee, and all those are from Southside. You see their picture on the left. And then from Northside, Cody Goodson. And we can't praise them enough for their hard work, and this is a very neat recognition and very, very well deserved. So we appreciate their great work as students of this district. And then finally, congratulations to this month's Superintendent Stars. This is always a great thing to get to do. But those that were recognized this month, Adeline Doremus at Beard, Annalyn Lynn Ingram at Carnell, Kylie Cannon at Fairview, Inabaya Akmel at Kavanaugh, Oscar Mickles at Ballman, Amar Yassin at Cook. And again, this is a program we do monthly to recognize students that model great behavior, great attitude, and great excellent academics, and we're very proud of those young people. And with that, any questions I might be able to respond to? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahan. The next agenda item is the consent agenda. Board members, as you know, the consent agenda is voted up or down as a whole unless a board member asks to remove an item for independent consideration. Are there any items we would like to move for individual consideration at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Consent agenda passes by a unanimous vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is to consider the approval of funding for the advertising campaign. You could have just stayed up there. I'll throw it back to Mr. Mahan.
Okay, tonight, just real briefly, just want to present you some information of things we've currently done through a tradition of advertisement with the use of billboards. We've expanded that a little, but these are already budgeted and approved items. But I also want to get your, talk about an option around advertisement and also get your approval or lack of approval for something that's brand new that we've not done that I can ever remember, and that's some 30-second advertisements with partnering with 3 different vendors, but being on all platforms across cable television, Lifetime channel, Hallmark channel, several channels these ads would run. So just kind of give you kind of an update, and let me go back just real quickly. You all approved my goals for this year, and one of them at 1.1, develop a comprehensive communication and marketing plan. And this would be one component of that plan. As I mentioned earlier with the enrollment, this is something that we're trying to be proactive about in enhancing what people are seeing about our district and share the good things and why we think we're one of the best choices around. We've used billboards in the past, and this is an improved budget item, but we've kind of upped the location. We've got 2 different locations. You're familiar. This is where you're going to sit in traffic going toward Chick-fil-A or coming back up from Chick-fil-A. Those businesses along that part of Rogers are very busy. So one of the billboards we have there is as you're going toward Andy's. You see it on the left. And that gets about 331,000 views a week, weekly impressions. And that's a total cost of about $9,600 a year. And this is something we've been doing in the past. Probably not 2 locations like this, but we have done it in the past. This is the second one, which is a little bit further down Rogers as you get close to the I-40 exchange there. This one you're going to come off the ramp and see right next to McDonald's on the right. And you're going to see it as you get paused in that area as well. Not as many impressions in this area, but 210,000 impressions a week. Very similar cost for 12 months, $9,600. So those are things we've budgeted and have approved in the past through our budget. Something that we've traditionally done. And that gives you the total expenditure for the billboards. Just want to make sure I keep that in front of you. Now, this is a new endeavor, and again, the partnership is 5 News, KHBS, Cox Media. But again, these would go over a host of channels across your streaming or your cable, whatever you subscribe to. It's 277 spots, which comes to about $138 for a 30-second slot. It's a $4,250 a month, looking at about a 10-month agreement to run these ads, primarily October through June. To run these ads. We have 4 variations of 30-second spots that would be run in this advertisement spot.
In every classroom, a story begins of discovery, of transformation, from shy students who found their voice to alumni who returned as mentors. Today, our schools ignite futures with ABB robotics, advanced nursing programs, and hands-on learning. This isn't just education, it's purpose in motion. Because at Fort Smith Public Schools, we don't just imagine the future, we are building it.
And each of the 30-second slots are a little different, but that's what one of the advertisements would look like as we ran it over 277 different runs. And again, just put that in front of you. What I'm asking for tonight is just, since this is new, we haven't done it before, I just wanted to get your approval, or like I said, non-approval, to move forward with this venture and be one more step in one of my goals, 1.1, and establishing a presence where people are seeing Fort Smith Public Schools on the channels that they watch. And I'd open up at this time for any questions you may have.
All right, questions, comments from the board? It looks like Mr. Mahan's looking for the board to provide approval for funding for the partnership with local media stations to purchase these advertisement slots. Feedback from the board. Ms. Martinez.
My question is, so after the year, so say if we were to approve it, how would you know if it generated what we wanted, like to have more student enrollment? What are we targeting with the ads?
What we would be targeting, first of all, try to get the analytics, how many times it's viewed. And we would try to see, are we seeing any uptick in enrollment? And then we would have to put together a survey upon enrollment, what caused you to reconsider Fort Smith Public Schools? We have a desire for people to select our district, and we also have a desire for people to come back to our district.
And if we were not to approve it, what would the funding be used instead for?
That's a good question. We wouldn't, it's not designated funding, and I didn't mention it. This is non-taxpayer funds that I would use as an activity account that we traditionally use for things like this. So it's not taxpayer funds, I should have said that earlier, but it's not designated to be used anywhere else at this time.
And the billboards that you guys used in the past, did they provide any more people enrollment or anything that you know of?
That's probably something we're going to lay out in this overall comprehensive plan to start assessing, because we've not done a real good job with analytics in the past. And so we're going to really focus on analytics to see if we can get a ROI on some of the things we've done in that marketing plan.
What about other social media platforms? Like, I know you guys do a really good job with Facebook, and like I recently saw TikTok. That was cute. And so a lot of things like that. Would that not provide similar?
It would, and we would roll this out on those platforms as well. So it'd be both platforms, advertising and social media. Anywhere we have a presence, we would use these spots.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Other members of the board have feedback or questions for Mr. Mahan.
Do we know if any other schools are using this currently? I know there's a lot of schools. I saw the feedback of, what was it, Springdale, that lost 600-something students out of their school district too. Mm-hmm. So is this a push that's kind of a new push for the public schools to get out there and advertise more like the private schools have been doing?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I will brag on Hot Springs Public Schools. I hear a lot of advertisements about their school district, and that's kind of what got my wheels turning on how can we better share the good news about the district. And then we got to discussing as a team about this as a possibility. Interesting you asked that question because student feedback was kind of mixed reviews on the 2-minute, 21-second full-length video. But after we got some mixed reviews, I said, where's the model that we would replicate? Well, there's not one that I've seen. We're cutting edge with this. I'm not saying they're not happening, but I haven't seen really very many advertisements for public schools yet, but I think it's coming. I'll brag on Van Buren School District, great school district north of us. They got a great billboard presence when you're driving from Northwest Arkansas into Van Buren. That's impressive. And so I just thinking of ways we can stand out as well.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Hardy.
Who is the intended audience for these 30-second spots?
Mostly parents getting their attention with these 30-second spots.
Do we have a targeted age demographic of parents? 25 to 35, 35 plus?
Well, I don't know that we have I don't think it'd be fair for me to say it's targeted per se, but there are targeted channels that certain audiences are going to try. The advertisers have recommended we try to target certain audiences with certain channels. Hallmark will be a big one because of the holiday season. Lifetime was another one that was suggested. So probably haven't gotten to the point of being just very targeted, and probably should have more discussions about what those targets would be from the advertising agents themselves. It's a good question.
So for my understanding, the billboards were already approved earlier this year?
Yes,
and
they're
so
part
the
of their
ask-
budget.
Okay, and the ask is just for the TV spots?
Yes, this is something, and the reason I brought it to you to ask is we've never done this before. We certainly have a marketing and communications budget. We could have used that budget. It's already approved budget for marketing communication. But because we've never done this before, I just felt like, in all transparency, bring it to you all so you wouldn't be watching TV one night saying, when did we start doing advertisements if you so approved? So I just wanted you to be up front and get your feedback.
Other board members. Ms. Hall.
Okay, so it says run it from October 1st to June 30th. is it going to be the exact same ones, or do we have the option to show different ones? Because that's a long time to run the exact same commercial
Yeah,
from
we
October
have
to June.
4 versions currently that we would alternate four of them pretty equally over 277 times. So you would see one of those 4, what's the math there? It's going to run about.
We were just in math classrooms last week.
Yeah, I know. I didn't. You noticed that I needed extra help. but
Do
yeah,
long boxes.
yeah. Yeah, so about 70 times each one would be run in different platforms across different networks.
And does each one, well, we saw the one, but is each one going to target a different area of the district, or are you going to try to cover the whole district in one, kind of like that covered everything in the district? Or
They're
are you
all-
wanting to do like an all kind of sports and extracurriculars, and then an all peak and or
They're all pretty general like that one. They'll have different footage though. Some footage you may see more. That one had a little bit more north side. You may have more south side. You have some, I think, if I'm not getting the 221 video mixed up in my head, I think there's some middle school emphasis in a couple of them too. But it's really generally very similar.
Ms. Kraft, you're next, then Mr. Whitaker.
I think we are in a new landscape where I agree that we do have to be competitive. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect to get the same results. And private schools do spend a lot on advertising. My kids went to both private and public, and you have to do that. I agree, Ms. Elskin, that I wish that the media would do these things for us for free. You're absolutely right. That when we have good news to share, we are at their mercy to do it, though. If a big news story hits, or if there's a bomb threat at Northside High School, that's what's going to be all over the news, not the good news that we share, unfortunately. But I totally agree with you that I wish that they would cover us on a more consistent basis. The good news is always what we want. But I think sometimes when you want to control the message, you have to pay for that message. And so we want to control the message and have a positive message and an encouraging message. And we are competing with other schools in the area. I think the ROI is really important for as much analytics as they can give us. I think
Yes,
that would
ma'am.
be great. And we do determine, is spending this money going to help us get back some of the $4 million that we could lose? So 40,000 to try to get back 4 million, like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with spending some money to try to get some students back. I would just want to know whatever analytics we could to make sure it's worth
Yeah.
spending that money, for
Very
sure.
good advice.
And social media is great. It's not super expensive to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, but all of that. Do what? Oh, I'm sorry. It is a whole different beast. But those are options as well. I think that might be, I don't know if this is expensive or not, to be honest. I haven't bought ads for an event in a long time. But if we can get the ROI on it, if we can have some analytics that show that it's been effective, that would be important to me. And I think I could be okay with us doing something different, knowing if we've already lost 400 students, we can't wait.
Yeah, and I think the ROI is going to be critical to see if this is
Yeah.
something we do again or if it's a one-time
Right.
event.
Right.
Mr. Whitaker.
Well, I never thought we would have to advertise for public school, but here we are.
Yeah.
I'm a proponent of digital billboards. I see districts from around the River Valley and surrounding communities in Fort Smith on digital billboards. I would be interested in separating these two, digital billboards and TV ads, separately as voting items. I'm not necessarily sold on the idea of TV. I love my mother. She's early 70s, but she watches Lifetime and Hallmark, and she doesn't have anyone in public schools. I don't think those are our target channels that we want to land TV advertisement for. In addition to that, I would like to see some of these television agencies celebrate our successes in our district more, as opposed to leading with negative connotation, or oftentimes not finding the resolve in posting those online or TV as well. So currently I'm against the television, but I am interested in entertaining the conversation about digital billboards.
So for clarification, digital billboard has already been budgeted.
And
So
continuing on with, if for For clarity's sake, thank you, Mr. Person.
Yeah, so the item to be determined tonight is strictly the television-related matter. Good feedback from every board member. Mr. Harding.
I've just got one bit of feedback or an idea, something that I think would appeal to parents, if that's our intended audience, would be a student-led content creation, whether it's video or social media. I would be interested in looking at what students come up with and getting them involved in creating some content.
Yeah, we have some ideas about doing that too on a parallel course around getting student voice around why did you choose Fort Smith Public Schools, and let them create videos that we push out in social media, as well as our staff. What drew you to Fort Smith Public Schools? So we get kind of a perspective from students and staff, but also what you said is maybe they have ideas of what it should look like that are a lot better, and I anticipate they do have some great ideas.
Ms. Kraft.
I have a question, and you may not be able to answer it. And it's going to make me sound like you're my elderly mother as well. So, like, I stream everything, right? So, like, I don't have a Cox cable subscription. I stream channels. So would these commercials be part of that streaming? Like, if you do DirecTV or we do Sling, like what you stream your channels on, will these commercials be on those?
Yes, ma'am, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Streamed and cable, and I should have given a couple of examples, but it's pretty wide range of channels
Okay.
that they'll be targeting.
Because, yes, I agree that my mother watches a lot of Lifetime as well. But I wasn't
If my
sure
mother
what
is
the-
watching, I do love you, Mom.
Me too. I love you, Mom.
With that, I'll say, I'm actually a big proponent of this. In my mind, it's a no-brainer. In this time that we're now entering into, we are not unique. Fort Smith is not in a bubble here. Look at comparable districts across the state, and they are dealing with the same reality, and it's just that. I'm not complaining. It's the reality of the learned environment. So it's incumbent upon us to adjust with the times accordingly and to better sell our story. And I've been accused of thinking through too many things through a dollar lens before, but this is a dollar lens for me. And I think the ROI on $40,000 could easily be worth it. And so I wholeheartedly support this. And I'd go a step further, and I'd say that we should make a serious look at the budget for next year, looking either to increase the marketing budget or ensuring that we're fully utilizing the funds that have been allocated to marketing within our budget. Mm-hmm. If we're not fully utilizing those funds, then maybe we should increase those expenditures. Good discussion, board, though. Does anyone want to make a motion? Mr. Mahan's looking for a motion to approve funding for the partnership with local media stations to purchase the television advertising slots, but counter motions also welcome. Ms. Kraft?
Let's give it a whirl. So moved.
All right, I hear a motion to approve funding for the partnership with local media stations to purchase advertising slots. Is there a second? Ms. Lott? Okay, Ms. Hall. Further discussion from the board? Any additional discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, please indicate so by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed, please raise your hand. And that passes by a vote of 4 in favor and 3 opposed. Good discussion, board. We will move right along to the next agenda item. Presentation regarding student participation and information gathering from the APNA survey. Mr. Mahan.
I'd like to give a little bit of history. We do traditionally have given the Arkansas Prevention Need Assessment Survey in the past, and historically it was opt-out, where a form could be filled out and the student would opt out of participating in this survey. There was a mistake made by the district one year and where someone had opted out actually took the survey. So as a reaction to that, we changed course to where students had to opt in to take the survey. And so the unintended consequences, some of those actions were very few pieces of data that could be helpful in writing grants to actually be proactive in providing services for kids and families to avoid some of the circumstances revealed in the survey. For example, the health clinic between Tillis and Darby relied heavily on this survey data back when it was opt-out. So we're asking the board with a presentation, and we have some stakeholders here from the community that would be able to access this data and do some great things potentially. And so we just want to give you a presentation of what APNA is and why we would like to get your approval to go back to the opt-out scenario and how we would set that up differently this time. Dr. Farrell?
Good evening, Mr. Mahan, Board President Persons, members of the board. Yes, this is, we'd like to give you a little bit of information about the APNA survey, which is known as the Arkansas Prevention Needs Survey. And this is an update. Let me go back one. So what this survey is a survey tool, and it's used in Arkansas to assess prevention needs related to youth. So what it's targeting are youth behaviors around the areas of substance use, violence, and the attitudes of students that predict these behaviors. It is administered by International Survey Associates. So as Mr. Mahan said, we began this as a district. We first used APNA back in 2006. And one of the things that you have links to for these last several years are the data that we collected from 2001, back in the fall of 2021, 22, 23, and 24. Now, if you look at that, these profile reports, the district gets a copy of this. This is a profile report that comes with the district and every year that we do this, all right? And so that's a profile report. What those others ones, when you open those links at some point, is that's the summary from the fall of 2021 and the summary from the fall of 2022. And so you'll see that those are offered in even number years, 6, 8, 10, and 12. And you'll see the numbers, the N of the number of participants that we had back in the fall of 21, the fall of 22. And 2,700, 2,798, and those for grades 6, 7, or 6, 8, 10, and 12. And then you see once we went to an opt-in scenario, that those numbers of students that opted in, which takes an effort to opt in, those numbers dropped to 51 in the fall of 23, and in the fall of 2024, that was 68. Those were 68 students. Okay. So this gives you a little bit about what that survey shows and some of the information that we get. So this is the information, the bar graph talking about alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs ever used. And this was done in grade 6, and it shows you that in grade 6, 813 students took this, took the survey, and that was in November of 2021. So these students who were in grade 6 in 2021 are now in grade, they're a grade 10. Okay, so these are grade 10 students this year, all right? And you'll see, one of the things that you'll notice, let's see if I can get this working. Yeah, right there. So you'll see on the, this is, well, hold on just a minute. It's not showing too well. All right, so on the y-axis, you'll see the percentage, and you'll notice this on the, I'm gonna show you 4 slides. I'm just gonna show you from that year, I'm gonna show you grades 6, 8, 10, and 12. And on the x-axis is where we have the description. On the y-axis where you can see the percentage points. So you can see that goes up to 20. And what you're going to notice as I go through each of these, you're going to see that percentage on the y-axis go even higher. And so the first two, you know, like you can see on the y-axis, you'll see alcohol, you'll see cigarettes, smokeless tobacco. The little hash marks that are at the top talk about what the state average is. Okay, so that gives you the state average at the top, and then it also gives, I'd always going to give a different of what the students are from one year to the next, all right? So that's grade 6, where we had 813 students take that in November of 2021. All right, that's grade 8. These are our current 12th graders, so the number of students that took that in 898, and so that was same survey. And this survey also talks about ever used. I didn't give you all the other information up there, but there's also one that says the next part of this is within the last 30 days. All right, so that's the information that we get. This is grade 10. Now I want you to see a difference there in grade 10. So grade 10, you see 8, you saw 6, 8, 10, and look at that number is 614. So there are ways that students would opt out. They could just say, don't want to take it. And you know what? They don't have to take it, All right, so students also have that option of opting out. But these, so that was in 2021, grade 10. This is grade 12, 397 students. All right. So there is always that option as students have, if they say they don't want to take it, no one is forcing somebody to take it as a student at that point. They have free will. But you also notice how what's gone on is you went from, now this one on the left-hand side, looking at our 12th graders, it's showing that's now up on the left-hand side, on the y-axis is up to 40%. So that's alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs that's ever used. The next ones are talking about vaping and injected substances, and that was in grade 6. So again, these are 10th graders this year, and that's talking about vaping. And that was that year they also used, and they talked about, I think at that bottom it says students, hold on, let me get this. That injected substance, that's down at the very bottom. So injecting a substance. All right, so there's grade 6, vaping injected substances. Grade 8, same numbers. Grade 8, grade 10, and grade 12. All right, so that's talking about vaping. And then the next slide, I just gave you a sample of what this one was, is also talks about heavy use and antisocial behavior. So you talk about binge drinking. This was grade 10. No longer students with us. It talks about binge drinking, you know, half a pack cigarettes a day, and so that gives us that gives the district as well as the community information about the students and students' usage. All right. So how does this district, how have we used this? So let me talk a little bit about the historical use. We're using title funds. Historically, we've used it for student calming kits. You know, most things you'll go into the classrooms or in the buildings, you'll see calming rooms. So some of that information, some of that data has been used to say for grants and why would these items that we need. We used in the past in suicide prevention brochures. We used in exclusively, not exclusively, but a great deal in professional development. Comprehensive school counseling program, which has yielded, you know, the number of schools that we have our RAMP recognized. We used it for play therapy from Dr. Brittany Wilson from the University of North Texas, Hope awareness training, reunification. We use that for safety. So now we have a safety program of unification. Also, if you get a chance, student drug intervention presentations by Ray Lozano. Ray is someone who comes on campus and is known for this work that he's done. We've also used it extensively, as Mr. Mahan was saying, to prove why we're needing that school-based health center. So that provided the supporting data, substantiated a grant application for the lack of health care in the 72901 and 72904 area codes. Drug prevention grants written by the Sebastian County Opioid Task Force has added a prevention specialist who now currently works out of the school-based health center. It provides data sets for the district to review and determine what is our potential need that we may have, what is a potential concern that we may have, and then it does follow grade cohorts over the years. So like when I was talking about the 6th grade, we'll see if we go to an opt-out survey, what are they doing in the grade 10? So that allows you to compare a cohort over time. So also the community use of the data. The community also uses for a source of funding. That supports their needs for state and federal reporting requirements, and they also can use that data for funding for essential programs. We are a community partner. This district is a community partner. I can't help but believe that relationship the district has on the Community Health Council have helped support the development of ideas such as both PEAK and the School-Based Health Center. Both Fort Smith hospitals engage a community health needs assessment every 3 years. In fact, tomorrow is a meeting over at Baptist Hospital, and Fort Smith has been asked to come and represent. All right. Present this evening, we have Ms. Katie Priest, who is from the Prevention Grant Manager at Harbor House. We have Father Paul Fetzko, who's the Vice President of Missions for Mercy Health. And then we have the Chair of the Sebastian County Opioid Task Force, Sebastian County Sheriff Hobie Runyon. So they are also an interested party in this. Let's talk a little bit about logistics, okay? Let's talk a little bit about logistics. Up there, one of the things it talks about is the survey itself. So the survey itself has 150 questions, All right, the survey itself has 150 questions. You know, the time frame it takes is for about one class period for a student to complete. The survey window opens from October 27th to December 5th. We have to submit an agreement form by November 7th to ISA if we want to participate in that. This whole time frame, what we're looking at is when we presented this was information, you know, hopefully, you know, with a vote either tonight or in October for us to make a decision of how we're going to move forward with this. We have a recommendation for the continued administration of the APNA for grade students in grades 8, 10, and 12. To increase student participation in Day of the Gathering, we use an opt-out format with a letter from the student's secondary principal for the students in grades 8, 10, and 12. We have in the format you'll see in there, we have a proposed opt-out letter, also a denial of permission, also known as denial of permission, and there are 3 ways to opt out. So the intent is to send the parents a parent link with this information, with this option, with this letter that you will see right here. It will have a link. It will have a QR code. Or most people will probably choose that format. And so what that is when you submit that will go directly to one counselor at the school. All right. So one of the things that we had is we had a middle person. In a sense, somebody who was not directly communicated to the school. So that's why this happened back in 2022. And so we are taking out the middle person. So this is going to go directly to the school, to a particular person on campus. Okay, our secondary campuses. Also, the opt-out written note, there's also at the bottom, if somebody, like in my generation, who watches Lifetime, no, I'm just kidding. Who wants to write a letter or write a note, then they can submit a note, all right? We still have that option. And then also, remember that data from grades 6, 8, 10, and 12. Students can opt out on administration day, and we read to them, and then also I have in there that is showing out the instructions that all the students will get. Students do opt out on their own. Okay. All right, questions for me or for members of the community who use this data?
Thank you, Dr. Farrell, and our distinguished guests for being here. Thoughts from the board? Well, let me start with saying this is an information item only, and an action item will be placed before the board for consideration at our next meeting on October 27th, right, unless the board for some reason wanted to make a decision today. Thoughts, feedback at this time? Let's start with Mr. Hardy and then Ms. Kraft.
Have students been apprehensive to take this if it's an opt-in, or is it simply the effort and the logistics?
I would go for the latter, sir.
Okay.
I would go for the latter.
Last question, what kind of communication is planned to roll out with this?
Good question. So you saw what we're going to do is we're going to send that. It's going to be signed by a secondary principal. You know, our secondary principals will send the letter out per parent link, and we'll use that platform of parent link and send that information also. And then we will also be using our communication department.
So you'd mentioned that this is an opportunity to secure certain funding?
It supports funding, yeah, that's right. It supports funding, and especially, you know, when I was listening to Mr. Mahan talking about, we used title funds before to sue this, and you know, 1.5 million, we might have to look at other places, and that is also with, we work with our community members, and some of that funding, like that prevention specialist is now working out of the school-based health center. That's our agreement. That's what we're working with, and that cohesion of working with our community is what's going to help facilitate, bring more support for our students. At least that's what I'm thinking, right? See, I got nods out there. Okay, I'm getting nods.
All right, Ms. Kraft.
This one's a no-brainer for me. This is absolutely something that we should keep doing. I'm completely in support of it. I know nobody likes to see those numbers and know how many of our kids are already drinking and already vaping and doing all of these things, but they're doing it. And so it would be neglectful of us to not address it and address it quickly. And this group, you guys do a great job. If Pat Morris is writing the grant, I'm not worried about it, because she's the most amazing grant writer, and she will go after it. So as long as we don't lose Pat Morris ever writing some of these grants, because she's fantastic. So no, this is absolutely 100% supportive of this.
Thank you.
Other board members wish to share feedback at this time? Ms. Hall.
I remember this survey from last year because my daughter came home asking lots of questions. She learned things, or maybe 2 years ago, that we had never talked about. There's some questions in here I'm not a fan of. I don't think they're age appropriate, but I know it's part of the whole survey. I'm going to backtrack for a second. How much money did we get in the past?
Oh, I would have to go through and I'd try to figure out if I could calculate that. All those
Okay.
things that I presented, you know, the school calming kits, the suicide prevention brochures, the professional development, bringing in Ray Lozano, the school-based health center, all of those have funding
Okay.
that goes along with it. So what part contributed that? I don't know if that's something I could calculate, but I could calculate how much we spent on professional development.
So we can't go back and look that because of this survey and our participation, we received this much grant money.
I mean, like I said, we could go back
We
and
can
try
go
and
back
figure
and
out.
look. Okay.
We could go back and see how much we spent on that. If we can find that data, I'm sure we could.
Okay. Do you have to have a certain percentage of participation to be able to qualify for the grant money, or do you just have to do the survey?
I think you have to do the survey, and you have to do that with, you know, with some robust data. You know, the ones that we've had in the last years on opt-in, that's not robust data.
Okay.
So we just haven't got the robust data. I mean, if you're looking at, you know, you're looking at the data, you see kids naturally opt out. I mean, 12th graders are opting out, all right? And we're not going to force them to do it.
Right, right.
But that is, I think they're looking for your participation in there.
Okay. I do appreciate what you've done with the parent letter being sent out and providing that. I would like to maybe see can these questions not be released to the parents for them to be able to see what survey they're taking? Because I think it's really easy for parents to say, okay, yeah, you can take, because if I saw that letter, I'd say, yeah, you can take a survey about alcohol and mental health and, you know, all of that. But there are a couple of questions on here that are concerning that I don't feel like are age appropriate for the 8th graders. Maybe I'm just very sheltered with my children. I don't know. But I think allowing the questions to be released for some of the parents to view those questions before they are opting in or opting out would be very helpful.
So let's say that as a parent, you were interested and you weren't on the board and you wanted to see that. So we do have a process for doing that, and I've talked with the ISA about that. So as you as a parent want to go and see what it is to make an informed decision,
Yes.
you can go up to school and look at that. We're not going to send it over. We're not going to send it through the web so anybody can do it and copy and paste it, because that could devalidate it. But if you wanted to go up and see it, yes, you certainly can.
Okay. Not all parents know that or are aware of that process, I guess. I don't know. That's all.
Ms. Martinez.
I was just going to say, good job, Dr. Farrell, for everything you've done. And this survey is very important because even though we want to think that a lot of kids aren't doing these things, they are. And we want to think that maybe it's not age appropriate, but at one point, I think it was by 12 years old that a lot of kids were doing substances. And we're thinking, especially if you think about everything that's being prevented online, so you want to have that prevention. So I think the assessment is good.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Other feedback from the board? I'll say this, I like Ms. Hall's idea of including like a QR code or something on the letter for, I mean, if I've got a sample of what it looks like, explain to me why we can't provide that to the parents.
So I wrote the survey, I wrote them, and they said the parents can come up on campus and look at it. They just don't want it to be disseminated, because if I put something out there, I can copy it and copy it and copy it. So they don't want their survey out there so everybody can see it.
Could you not put a sampling out of a couple questions?
I can ask. I can certainly ask. I mean,
And then we could kind of pick what
Yeah.
a good sampling may be.
So it's not like a sample ballot, instead it's like their proprietary information, they're saying. Okay. I'm tracking with you. Yeah, The more information we can provide to parents, obviously, the
Of
better.
course.
But I, without a doubt, I mean, were Phil and I the only ones here when this came up? Oh, you were here too? The rub really was that too many people felt like they didn't know what their kids were getting into, and so whatever we can do to maximize that. And
Well, we can
I'd
add
like
that to the letter, the parents who want to see the letter. I mean,
Yes.
that's not in there currently. If you looked at the
Yes.
denial of permission letter, that is certainly amendable.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
Yeah.
certainly amend that and put that in the letter.
I think that makes sense.
And
Yeah,
we'll do that.
it started questions about what some of these things even were.
But
Like,
some of them are fake too, so that way they can get false positives.
I mean, it lists
Yeah.
lots of different drugs and lots of different things you can do.
Yeah.
And so that opened up quite a few conversations, and then I think it could have even put some bad ideas into kids' heads that didn't know, oh, I could go sniff this, or, whatever. But,
Well, I think conversations are good, starting with your parents, and especially if she came to you and decided to talk about it, I think that's good. It would be worse if they kept it, and didn't tell anybody.
Good
Yeah,
feedback.
I
from
will
the board?
certainly include that in the opt-out letter, giving people an option. If this is something you need to see, go to your counselor.
Let's do that.
Okay, we can do that.
Other feedback from the board? Okay, we'll revisit this item on October 27th. Thank you again to Dr. Farrell and to our distinguished guests. Our next agenda item is a presentation on employee engagement and exit survey data from the last school year. Mr. Mahan.
Yeah, this is some exit data that we've gathered over the last school year, and some great data. I would just actually draw your attention to the percentage of response that we get versus the national average on responses. This too is a voluntary process. This has allowed us as a district to look at data in the past, and you will see that I've made you aware of some things we've implemented around wellness for our staff that were direct results of some of the data we have gathered from this. But very importantly, this allows us to take the exit data, if it's 2 or 3 people leaving a facility, and find out what's their reason, and then compare that to the people that are staying to see what are the correlations to people that are leaving versus people that are staying in the workplace. So really good data. I'm proud of the work of HR on this, and Dr. Manley.
Good evening, Mr. Mahan, School Board. Thank you. Employee exit and engagement surveys. I will also say on this Zoom, we also have Dallas from Upbeat and Kylie from Upbeat. They should be on this as well, okay? So our purpose for tonight is to share insights from exit and engagement surveys. We want to highlight our strengths and our areas for growth, and we also want to inform strategies that support retention and employee satisfaction. So just so you know, we've been using Upbeat exit surveys since 22-23, so we now have 3 years of data. And then we've been using the Upbeat engagement surveys for 2 years since 23-24. You can see in HR, we have a little motto. It's called recruit, support, and retain. That's what we actually verbalize to each other. So why this matters? Employee engagement supports student success. There are actually studies that show that when employees are engaged, or education teachers are engaged, that student scores are higher. Retention saves resources and strengthens stability, and surveys capture an individual employee voice. So let's look at that Fort Smith retention rates for 24-25. We've got our certified employees up here with a retention rate of 91.73%. You can see the retirements under there. We had 34 retirements last year, and we had 93 resignations for a total of 127 certified employees who had access to this exit data, or the exit survey. Our classified employees retention rate was 82.36. Our retirements were 29, resignations 154, so we had a total of 183 classified employees that had access to this exit survey. So just real quickly on the exit survey overview, we send, when a person resigns in Fort Smith Public Schools, their personal email goes to Upbeat. They then send emails to our employees who are exiting with the survey link in there. Just want to point out here that we are able to compare our exit data survey from this year from previous years, and we can also compare it to our engagement surveys. So this is actually a screenshot of what it looks like. I would like to draw your attention to where it says Fort Smith Public Schools at the top. Under that, you can see it says compared against Fort Smith Public Schools in the 23-24 year. And you'll notice in the middle, completions, we had 72 completions with a 69% participation rate. And just for your information, at Upbeat, the global cluster rate that they have is only 57% for faculty. So we are well above that participation rate. We're very proud of that. So now let's look at faculty contributing factors over time. So this is 3 years of data on here, and I'm just going to show you the first, we're going to talk about a couple of columns. Factors unrelated to my job, in the first column, you'll notice that that has gotten better over the 3 years. The people are leaving not because of their job. That's gotten a higher percentage. And then if you look at the third cluster there, factors related to the district in which I worked. And you'll notice in 22-23, the district was one of the main reasons that people left. And then you'll notice that we've been able to bring that down the last couple of years. So now let's look at the staff, and you'll notice staff up there. Again, we're compared against Fort Smith Public Schools 23-24. Staff are going to be anybody who's not a faculty, who's not a teacher. So it's going to be department people, custodians, child nutrition, OAAs, paraprofessionals, people like that. We had 93 completions here. Remember, we had, that's 52% participation rate, and Upbeat has a 46% completion rate through their global cluster. So now let's talk about the staff contributing factors over time. So we'll look at those same places. Factors unrelated to my job, we're able to keep that up there pretty far. And if you look at the third one there, factors related to the district in which I work, you'll notice that in 22-23 it was higher, and we've been able to bring that down the last couple of years. Not perfect, but we're working on it. So now we're going to show you some actual results from Upbeat. So questions are asked using this question stem in the exit survey. To what extent did the following factors contribute to your decision to leave the district? And so when we're looking at the exit survey key, a tremendous amount, which is the red and the lighter red quite a bit, are the ones that we're targeting here to see if this was a reason that they wanted to leave. So let's look at the faculty. So again, 72 completions, but these are strengths of ours. Lack of collaboration with colleagues is not a reason our faculty are leaving. We have good collaboration. School resources and facilities is not a reason that people are leaving. These are strengths. And poor benefits is not a reason that our faculty are leaving. So now let's look at some areas, opportunities for growth. Professional autonomy, this would be one of our top 3 reasons that they put, the people that put there. And I also on this slide am showing you how many respondents out of the 72 were in the red and the light red as opposed to the others. And then trust with school leaders, this was put up there. You can see 20 and 52. And then work-life balance was the other opportunity for growth in our faculty area with 54 and 18. So now let's look at the staff strengths. Again, staff, remember who staff are, our custodians and people that are not faculty. Feeling unsafe at work is not a reason they are leaving. Dissatisfaction with my work assignment is not a reason they are leaving, and poor benefits is not a reason they are leaving. These are some of our highest exit results. So now let's look at opportunities for growth. Trust with leaders is up there. Recognition for your work or lack of recognition for your work is up there, and low pay. And you'll notice that low pay is our highest one here. But remember, if you've been on the board for several years, we've made some great strides with our classified salaries. And so imagine what this would be if you, as the board members, you hadn't done that. So now here is them put together. Certified employees, classified employees, and you can see the strengths and the opportunities for growth for each of them as they're side by side. And in just a second, we're going to talk about, putting all the trends together and what this looks like. So now what I'd like to do is take you to the engagement surveys, where we call our exit surveys lagging indicators because the employees are leaving. We call an engagement survey leading indicators. And one of our goals is to be able to look at the engagement data and predict what the exit data is going to say. If our engagement data is true and right, then we should be able to predict what some of the things on the exit data are going to be. But with the engagement survey, we divided our schools and schools up into 3 years. And so we have a third of them that started, and so we are going to end this year with the last third of engagement surveys. But what happens with an engagement survey is that in late October, early November, the survey is sent out, and the teachers take the survey. Upbeat meets with us. We go over the results, and then they have a coach who talks to Dr. Starr and Dr. Jones, who then goes through the results of the schools that have the engagement surveys there, and they talk about a game plan. And then Dr. Jones and Dr. Starr go work with the principals to make an action plan of what they're going to try to change. So when they get our faculty and our staff have the engagement survey in the spring again, they can see if there's been changes and growth. And they will know exactly what things they targeted so we can see if it improves. Again, we can check this with the exit surveys, and we can monitor the engagement surveys from past. So this is the Upbeat engagement survey schedule. What I would just like to point out here is we are going to be looking at data from the Upbeat engagement of 24-25. That middle one is the one that we're going to be looking for. Or those are the ones that talked and gave us these results. So 24-25 faculty, and what I will point out here, notice that it's broken down between faculty, staff. Same difference, but we also do departments here, so that is also going to be child nutrition and our custodians are our facilities. Okay, so we have 3 things of data here. So faculty strengths. Principal at my school communicates a clear vision for teaching and learning. Opportunities are accessible to all teachers at my school. Teachers at my school care about the well-being of students. Those are all strengths on our engagement surveys. So our faculty opportunities for growth. Rules for student behavior are consistently enforced by teachers in this school, even for students who are not in their class. So it's not just about what's happening at the district level either, it's also what is happening in the buildings. And so that was an opportunity for growth. Teachers are recognized publicly when they do outstanding work. That is an area that we need to work on. And I am able to balance my workload, which goes back to the work-life balance. So now we're going to go to staff. Staff strengths, I trust my principal, and employees at my school care about the well-being of students. So let's look at the staff opportunities for growth. The professional development organized by my district helps me improve my work. And there are opportunities for employees to take on leadership roles in this school. And as you're thinking about who these people are taking this, you can kind of see where some of these would actually come up. So department strengths, remember this is child nutrition and facilities. I feel successful as an employee and I find a sense of purpose in the work I do each day. Opportunities for growth for our department. Employees in my department are recognized publicly when they do outstanding work, and leaders in my department actively seek input from employees when making important decisions. So now let's look at all of that put together because that was a lot. Okay, so now you can see all 3 up here. We've got our strengths and we've got our opportunities for growth, and they are actually listed there with the number of survey completions. So now let's talk about Fort Smith trends. So what we did is we took the exit survey and the engagement data survey that we have, and we have put it together in what we need to work on and things that are going really well. So strengths, employees care about the students in their building. That was evident in what we saw. So that's what you want to hear. We have strong instructional leadership in the buildings. Our faculty was very strong about that. We have great benefits. Thank you, board. We have great benefits, and that was across the board, not an issue. And collaboration with colleagues is strong. That is one of the things that people enjoy about being in our district. And our facilities have been upgraded and contribute to a safe environment. Again, board approved all of our Vision 2023 back in the day when we did all of that, and so all of these directly are affected by what you have done. So let's talk about our opportunities for growth. We need to work on trust in leaders. We need to work on public recognition when employees do outstanding work. We need to seek employee input when making decisions, teacher consistency with student behavior within a building, and our training and professional development for our classified employees we need to take a look at. So Let's talk about Fort Smith actions, what we have done and what we are continuing to do. We have created and expanded recognitions for employees. I don't know if you remember last year, we did the Classified Employees of the Year. We now have a certified and classified employee from every building, and then we have an actual district overall. And I'm just telling you, the prizes they got last year were awesome. They were very happy about that, and I think that's great. Created and expanded leadership training for certified and classified leaders. I won't go too much into that, but we've increased the training for everybody. Certified leaders before had tons of training, but we wanted to bring our classified leaders on board because that's half of our employees are classified, and we want to make sure that they are getting the support that they need. Created and expanded employee wellness classes. This is one of my babies, and we did bring this on a couple of years ago, and this year we are actually partnering with the Arkansas Colleges of Health Education, AIC. I'm hearing great things about it. I know I'm doing their pizza class, food class in a couple of weeks, and I got a great picture of the pottery class that just happened. So we're very excited to be partnering with them. But I want you to know we are also doing our in-house wellness as well. So some of our teachers are actually teaching wellness classes here on campus. And then we've do our continued compensation and benefits review. You guys are privy to that every year when we talk about what money we have and where it needs to go. And expanding the Aspiring Leaders Institute to include all certified and classified employees. This is going to be the second year that we've included all of our classified employees in the Aspiring Leadership. Our Aspiring Leadership program used to only be for people that wanted to be assistant principals. So now we've opened it up to anybody that just wants to grow in their leadership skills. And we've gotten great reviews on that. So let's talk about retention next steps. And I'm the director of recruitment and retention, so this is really falls on me. But September and October, we are going to be doing focus groups of employees to analyze the themes from the engagement and exit surveys. What we think is we've got all this great data, but I want to put a narrative to it. I want to hear if this is an opportunity for growth, what does that action look like in your department, in your building? So that's why we're going to do focus groups to figure out what that really looks like. And then after that is done, in November and December, I'm going to develop and deliver a retention-focused leadership training for all leaders and with strategies that they can incorporate immediately to make their employees feel more welcome and more engaged. So again, I want to remind you, recruit, support, retain is what we do in HR, and we are going to continue to progress monitor, continue engagement survey annually. We're going to continue the exit survey, and we're going to share progress updates with school board and staff as requested or needed. So I want to close this with, one, thank you for your attention. This is a lot of data, but engaged employees equal endless possibilities for students. I don't want that to go unnoticed. So that's why this is important, because this is a direct correlation in student success if we do this right. So any questions or comments? And keep in mind, we've got Dallas and Kylie on.
Well, thank you, Dr. Manley. You covered a lot of data, and you did it efficiently and thoroughly at the same time, so well done. And I really appreciate the transparency from the district in presenting this to us too. I remember when we had these conversations just a few years ago about these surveys. Open it up. Mr. Harding, you look like you're up first. Go ahead.
You can call me doctor if you want. I do not have a doctorate degree. Thank you. It's a great presentation, great data. One question that I have is the question on how many years a faculty staff or the faculty have anticipated working. Do we have data that shows how many years they taught? Like of all of the faculty that's resigned for the year, do we have how many year or average years? That'd be good to see, so we can see if there's a gap between if it's less or more. And in the spirit of the mission, where we want to be a destination district, and I don't know what options with Upbeat there are to add a new question or update a question, but I would be interested to know if a teacher or faculty is planning on teaching in another district. I don't know if that's too specific, but I'd want to know that so that we can get some data on do the teachers feel that we're a destination district?
Okay. There is some data in Upbeat, it wasn't on the presentation,
Okay.
about how many years they intended to teach, and then we can go back and figure that out. But we can get that for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other board members? Mr. Whitaker, you want to be a doctor too?
Dr. Whitaker. One that kind of surprised me was the conversation about professional development with our classified staff, and I want to just iterate that our classified staff is equally as important as our certified staff. And in regards to professional development, I'm curious if their comments were that PD was non-existent, if it was redundant. I'm just kind of curious what those comments were in regards to professional development for our classified staff.
Well, I will say this, that's why I want to do the focus groups.
Sure.
Okay, I want to hear that from we do have training. That is one thing that Ms. Pennington, the Director of Human Resources, is actually working on right now, is classified training and professional development. She's having conversations with all of the departments about onboarding, what they do there, and then what we need to continue that. So that is something that is on our radar, and I'm glad that you figured that out, because we want to keep them as much as we keep anybody else.
And I would just add, it's what we have found, it's just not as robust as your certified employees, and so they pointed that out, and I think wisely so. That's very true. And there's lots of training that our HR has already started to implement with our classified and aspiring leaders and things of that nature, but certainly an area we will get better at.
Ms. Lott?
Well, I'd be curious to just see the survey myself too.
Okay.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels. I think it'd be kind of a neat thing for us to be aware of the types of questions that are being asked, because we all may have a different view. I know most of us haven't been instructors, but we've all been in different workplaces, so we may bring a different view to that just overall.
Yes.
So I would just like to email that or whatever, however they do that.
Well, we can talk about how to make that happen for you.
Other questions, feedback? Ms. Hall?
On your, sorry, I'm going back and forth on slides here. Great presentation, really good information. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. You said, what is this called? I'm on another slide, and I've zoomed in so much because I can't read it. Okay, your actions, past and future. So you'd kind of laid out what you wanted to do to address some of those opportunities for growth and concerns that the district had. What about, one thing I didn't know that, or one thing I noticed that wasn't addressed was on your opportunities for growth section, trust in leaders, seeking employee input when making decisions, teacher consistency with behavior within a building. Is that going to be something that is discussed in your focus groups on how those things can be addressed? Because I feel like the only thing that maybe we have a definite plan for is the recognition and the professional development, which is phenomenal.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will tell you, I can already tell you that one of our middle schools, it wasn't this year, or it wasn't last year, but one of our middle schools did, that was one of the things, was the teachers in the building not all disciplining this, holding everybody accountable. And so what that middle school did is they brought these results into their meeting, and they just said, what do you mean by this? What are we doing? And what we found, and Dr. Jones is the one that related this to me, what we found is that there was a system of support, and everybody was supposed to be following this discipline protocol or matrix, discipline matrix, and they weren't aware of it, and so they brought it to the staff's attention, and then that grew for the spring survey. So that's already been addressed at one of the schools, and that was the reason why, is that there was a disconnect between the expectation of the administrators and what the teachers were actually doing.
So it was addressed at that one school. Is
At
that
that
something
one
that's going
school.
to be addressed at all the other camp? Is it
Absolutely.
going to be a rollout everywhere? Okay.
When we're talking to the teachers, I want to see what they're actually saying. I know from being a teacher as well and being an administrator as well, is you do see this. You do see that you have one teacher who is a little bit more lax, or they're okay with something and another teacher is not. What we have to make sure, though, is that we're following the handbook, the student handbook, and the district handbook, and making sure that everybody in the building is holding everybody to the same expectation. So yes, that will be addressed in the questions.
Only thing I'll add is, I don't know how long these take to respond to, but it seems like the engagement ones have a lot of questions. The faculty engagement survey has 75 questions. I don't want to answer anything that has 75 questions.
Our principals are really good. We're really good at planning this around when they have a PD day, and they have some time. So the principals have been giving them time to do this in a general meeting. So we're letting them do it on time.
Great. That's where I was headed.
I can just share that our average is about 10 to 15 minutes for the surveys because the questions are all on a scale. So we've surveyed about that because that is often a concern that people have is the length.
All right, that's helpful. Thank you. Other board members, final thoughts? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Manley.
Thank you.
Presentation item only, no actions required. Next, we'll hear a presentation on expanding the SAMR model school at Tillis Elementary to grades K through 2. Mr. Mahan.
Yes, you may remember last year we piloted what's called the SAMR model at Tillis Elementary, and this year Goal 2.2 is expanding that model across the district. And SAMR stands for Substitution, Augmentation, Modification, and Redefinition around technology. So we want our students, if they're utilizing iPad or a computer, they're utilizing it different than just looking at a piece of paper. How are we using this tool that we've invested money in to enhance the depth of knowledge of learning instead of using it like a textbook? And so presentation, Dr. Yates has a presentation that will kind of outline this Goal 2.2 and give a better explanation than I have. So Dr. Yates.
Good evening, Mr. Mahan, President, board members. So I'm excited to share with you our plan to expand the SAMR model from grades 3-5 to K2. But before I get started, I want to recognize the people who've made this happen. We have Dr. Kim Starr, Director of Elementary Education, and we have Adam Elliott, and he's our instructional technology specialist. And then Dana Brooks, who can't be here today, and she is the principal of Tillis Elementary.
Dr. Yates, while we're loading it up, go ahead and talk a little bit about SAMR, the expansion. Kind of read from your notes, and then we'll catch up on slides when they get that rolling.
And board members, the presentation is in board book, so if you want to follow along, we've got them all.
Well, okay. So before I start, I want to take a minute to provide some examples of what SAMR is. It'll help better explain the work that we're doing in the schools. So SAMR is a framework that helps us understand how technology is used in the classroom. It is split into 4 levels. The first level is substitution. Substitution is, give you a great example, is when students will type into a Google Doc, like an essay, instead of writing it by hand. So it's a substitution. Then we have augmentation, which adds a little more functionality. We'll take the same essay and we'll add some hyperlinks, some photos, images, use grammar, spell check. Then we have modification. Again, let's take the same essay and we're going to share it with students to allow them to collaborate and write and comment in real time. The last level is redefinition. There we go. That takes the same essay. I wanted to go through the same assignment here. And it produces like a multimedia documentary, so it would be something that they could publish. So, why use SAMR? Well, it helps make sure that technology is actually adding value to learning. And it provides those advantages of engagement, student success. So I want to provide some information about what we did last year. Last year, we first identified a school. That school was Tillis. And then our cohort that we worked with was grades 3 through 5. Then we developed a walkthrough tool, gathered our baseline data to see where we were, and then trained our staff, and then taught a new letter of SAMR each quarter while we gathered data to monitor our progress. So these are the results from last year. As you notice, several areas increased, noted in the green. We have some percentages increases in the 50s and 60s. But what really stands out is the two areas that had declined. And looking at that 43%, we noticed that after reviewing it with the team, that we were actually, our walkthroughs were looking at the wrong thing and we needed to adjust for that. But we were looking at, we were giving credit for the feedback that was given by a software. So like they use iReady or Lexia and it provides instant feedback. So we had to make some adjustments because what we really need to look at is what the teacher designed and implemented in the classroom and whether the feedback was from something that she designed and implemented. We do know that we need to provide some more training for the differentiation. So what's our plan for this year? This year, we're going to implement tech skills for students. This is the new thing. This is the only thing that we're really doing new. And this will help prepare students to learn and take online assessments, which is really important. This is just a snippet from the timeline, but I provided the whole timeline in your packet so you could see that. And this isn't just going to be implemented in the model school at Tillis. It's going to be implemented across all elementary schools in the district, something that they need. So our technology and instructional specialists will be working with media specialists and the teachers to do this. Our timeline, this is our plan for this year. As you can see, we collected our baseline data last week. Then this week we'll conduct staff training, and then we'll work to implement a letter of the SAMR model each quarter and do our walkthroughs in between to track our progress. At the end of the year, we will do a final walkthrough. So where do we go from here? Our plan is to expand the model school to additional schools throughout the district. We also want to continue integrating the technology skills that I just showed you, and we want to continue our training based on coaching and the walkthrough data, and of course we are going to continue and monitor and adjust. So before I leave, I wanted to make sure that we remember that it's important that technology isn't going to replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational. So it goes along with SAMR. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions, comments from the board? All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No, that's great. Presentation item only, and no action is required. We have just a couple agenda items left, executive session and then board members forum. The board will now go into executive session to discuss pre-litigation. It is 7:36 p.m. Final agenda item is board member forum. Before we get there, board members, our entire October work session is October 21st at Service Center, Building G Conference Room, and our next regularly scheduled board meeting is the following Monday, October 27th in the auditorium. Board members, any other items you'd like to discuss at this time? We'll start with Mr. Harding.
Nothing for me.
Ms. Lott.
No, sir.
Ms. Kraft.
Just very quickly, we have lost 2 teachers in our district in the first month of school. And so just want to extend my sympathies and my prayers and our love to those families of our 2 teachers, a teacher at Northside and a teacher at Chaffin. So all our love and prayers for them.
Thank you for that, Ms. Kraft. Mr. Whitaker.
This is the best school district in the state of Arkansas, and I stand by that. Thanks for being a part of this board, and thank you for collectively working together for the good of this district.
Ms. Martinez.
Thank you to everybody that presented today.
And Ms. Hall.
I got to visit with Ms. Kraft and Mr. Mahan several campuses this past week. Got to have Taco Tuesday lunch. Thank you for that. It was so good. We ate with kindergartners and learned their entire life stories. It was precious. Look forward to doing that in the future. Got to see some really good things in classrooms and met a lot of great teachers, and I really enjoyed that. That's all.
All right, thanks, Ms. Hall. Mr. Mahan, you have any final words for the board?
I need a Fort Smith Wellness Committee volunteer. All right, Ms. Martinez, thank you so much. Awesome, thank you.
And that was unanimous. There's nothing further to come before the board. We are adjourned.